So you read this blog over here that said you need 10 bank accounts, and this blog over here that said you need 0 bank accounts and you only need to use the cash system. And you're just kind of sitting there with your 1 or 2 bank accounts, and now you're super confused because all you want to know is what to actually do, right? So today I'm going to tell you how I organize my bank accounts, what works best for our family, and give you some real life examples and some real life tips to actually help you get started organizing your bank accounts. Hey guys, I'm Sami Womack from the Sunny Side Up Life, and today I'm going to tell you how I organize my bank accounts. So this is a question that I see a lot, and I just saw it again recently, so I thought this would be a great time to do a video and a blog about it. So the question that I saw said, advice on my bank accounts. I feel like I have too many, my money is spread too far around, and I'm wondering how many bank accounts you have. So I've seen this question a lot, and I've also seen it flipped the other way, like I feel like I don't have enough bank accounts. How many bank accounts do you have? So I'm going to tell you today how many bank accounts I have, how I organize them, what is in each one of them, and a little breakdown of the order that I transfer the money into when it is payday. So quick side note before we jump into this topic is the cash system versus the debit card system. So what I'm telling you today is the debit card system. This is what I do with my actual bank accounts with debit cards that I use. But a lot of the techniques that I'm going to tell you today can also be applied to the cash system. The cash system versus the debit card system is not so much about organization, the difference in organization. It's just the difference of where you actually store your money. So you can still organize it the exact same way if you prefer to do the cash system. So take that into consideration as you go through the rest of this video. Okay, so my bank accounts. First of all, I have 3 actual bank accounts at the bank, and the 4th is I do have some cash savings that we like to keep here at the house, and it's just handy to have some savings on hand and just have that security that the bank doesn't have all of your money. And it is kind of nice since we live kind of far away from our town, from an ATM, that if we do need 20 bucks, you know, we can just grab in that cash and that we know that we have it on hand at all times. But we have 3 actual accounts at the bank, and I'm going to go into a little more details of each of those. We have a bills account, a spending account, and a savings account. So let's jump right into those. Okay, here's a little graphic that I made for you guys, just kind of a flow chart of how we do things whenever it is payday. And you feel free to screenshot this if this helps you kind of organize your own bank account. So you see the dollar signs at the top, and then the money is going to, it direct deposits into what I call our bills account. And then it goes out into our spending and our savings account, and then our savings account is broken down even farther into those. So I'm going to go into detail about each of these accounts for you. So the first bank account, and the most important I think, is the bills account. So when it is payday, my husband's paycheck is set up on direct deposit, but if yours isn't and you go and manually deposit your money into the bank, it works the same exact way. So money goes straight into the bills account, and for me, I think that it's most important first and foremost to make sure that all of your bills are paid before you do anything else, because you can always scrimp on groceries, or you can always just not pay extra on debt that month, or just not save extra. But you got to have your bills paid. I feel like that is really first priority in everything, as long as you actually have money for groceries, of course. But I always pay bills first and foremost. And these are what I include as monthly bills. This is your house payment, your electricity, water, phone, internet, TV, any kind of monthly memberships that you've decided are important and fit in your budget. If a gym membership fits in your budget, Netflix, any kind of other, I have an Audible account because I love Audible and their books. That's super important to me. If you have car payment, credit card minimums, etc. Those are all what would be in your bills account. And what I do is I add up just what needs to be paid for this pay period to the penny, plus $10. I like to do $10 just because I hate seeing my bank account at 0 after all the bills come out. I do $10 because it's a small amount. I'm not going to notice it missing in the grand scheme of paying off debt or saving. It's just a $10 buffer in there, and I do $10 to the penny on top of the exact bills amount. And that's all that is allowed to stay in our bills account. Then I'm going to tell you what I do next. So then our second account, after I made sure all the bills are paid, I transfer, all these are on bank accounts, but of course if you do cash, you can just physically withdraw the cash and put it in a cash envelope, and it's the same idea. I just keep mine at the bank and use a debit card. So in the spending account, this includes our groceries, our gas, or fuel for your car, whatever you call it. I know different people call it different things. Fuel for your car, your extras. This would be like your date night, your fun money, all of those kind of things, clothing, any kind of fun stuff like that, or eating out, fast food. All of that goes in the spending account because it's not bills. And so I like to keep those separate. And I like to keep that in the bills account because then I know that the bills are paid. The bills are taken care of, and then only transfer into my spending account when I'm allowed to spend and what I've budgeted for this particular pay period. So whatever you are allowed to spend is what goes into your spending account. When it's gone, it's gone. And you make a plan for that money. So say it's $500. How exactly are you going to spend that $500? How much is going to go to groceries? How much is going to go to gas? How much is your fun money, etc.? So be realistic when you do this. Realize, that if you have a family of 5 and you have to have groceries for a whole month, $100 is probably not going to cut it. Be realistic, but also challenge yourself because remember, you have goals and you don't want to spend all of your money, and you want to make sure that you're having money left over to apply to your debt or to throw into savings. So be realistic, but also challenge yourself. The thing that I love about having these accounts separate and was really life-changing for us was having the money in the bills account. I have that reassurance that our bills are paid, right? And then with the spending account, I know for sure how much money is left. If it is, 2 weeks till payday and I only have $100 left, I know things are going to be tight. I know that for sure. I don't have to wonder when the money is mixed in, the spending and the bills. When they're mixed in, you never know for sure what's still pending, what's for groceries, this and that. So that's why I love having them separate. And I know cash people will sometimes go even a step farther and have a separate envelope for groceries, a separate envelope for fun money. And you can even do that with your bank accounts if you're organized enough to keep up with that many bank accounts. But for me, this is what works really great. And then I plan it out on paper, kind of how I'm going to break it down even farther, what's for groceries, what's for gas, etc., etc. All right, so the third account is a savings account. And a savings account, for us, we just have one savings account because like I said, I break it down even farther on paper, and that's what works best for me. And our savings account includes our emergency fund, our sinking fund, and our next goal fund. I'm going to break those down a little farther for you guys in just a second. But if you, like I said with the spending, if you want to do these in cash, feel free to do them in cash. If you want to have 3 separate savings accounts, one for emergency, one for sinking fund, one for your next goal, feel free to do that too. For me, I like to just have one savings account and then have on paper what is what. So my little tip here is that the money that is left over after your bills and then after your spending is what goes into your savings. Like I said, money goes straight into the bills account, then our allotted amount goes into our spending. Whatever is left over goes into our savings. And if you feel like, a lot of people will say they don't have enough to put into savings, or they don't have enough to apply to their debt. Well, this is where you kind of work backwards and say, well, where can I lower my spending? Where can I cut back my bills and all of those kind of things, which is a whole nother blog and a whole nother video, but just a little side note there for you. So I'm going to go into explaining a little more about what each kind of these savings accounts are all about. So the first part of the savings account is an emergency fund. And of course, this is before you've paid off your debt. You really just want a small beginner emergency fund that I recommend $500 to $1,000, depending on your income, depending on your family size, depending, if both spouses work, if you have single income, or what your family situation is, what you guys feel comfortable with, somewhere in the $500 to $1,000 range. For us, we did $1,000 when we were first getting started before we paid our debt off. Of course, after your debt is paid off, everything except your house, you're going to want to go into bumping up to that larger emergency fund. That's a 3 to 6 month worth of expenses range. And so we have our emergency fund thrown in our savings account with everything else. And I'm going to go into those other two types of accounts with you guys. The second kind of savings is a sinking fund. This is what a lot of people overlook in their savings. They totally skip this part and they let things that are non-regular expenses kind of sneak up on them and totally ruin their budget. And I don't want that for you at all. So what I would love you to do is to start a sinking fund. And we just mix this right in with our regular savings. But you can obviously do a separate bank account if you want, do a separate cash envelope if you want, whatever system works best for you. But a sinking fund it includes holidays and birthdays, it includes vacations, home and vehicle maintenance, any kind of annual registration or license. Maybe your job requires you to renew some kind of license every year, or your vehicle registrations. There's lots of things that only happen once a year that you would want to put in here. This can also be clothing. We only purchase clothes twice a year. We do a spring-summer wardrobe, and we do a fall-winter wardrobe because that works best for us in Texas with the way our weather is. So you might want to put your clothing expenses in there. We do them in big lump sums like that. Or taxes, if you pay income taxes, property taxes, any kind of taxes, you're going to want to apply those to your sinking fund. Any kind of irregular bills. There's a lot of people who have quarterly insurance and they let it sneak up on them and it's a big lump sum. Or any kind of annual bill. You just pay maybe homeowners association and you just pay once a year. So really think about, and if you forget some of those as you go through the year, what I like to do, what I did my first year, I just kept a running list. Because if you sit down and you try to think of all of these irregular expenses off the top of your head, you're going to miss one or two or more. So just don't really stress over it, but just kind of keep a running list. As something comes up, go, yeah, I wish I would have had an extra $50 for that. Next year, I'm going to be prepared and I'm going to do that. So that really helped us. We just started with Christmases and birthdays, and then as we went through our first year of budgeting, we added in that running list as things, as things came in the mail, as things expired and we had to renew them. And then our second year of budgeting, we're really on top of that sinking fund. So what you're going to want to do is add up this whole year worth, and then you're going to want to contribute to that fund little by little, maybe every paycheck or maybe every month or whatever works best for you. But you just want to be contributing to it throughout the year so those things don't sneak up on you and totally ruin your November budget when it's Christmas shopping time or things like that. So you want to be prepared for all of these non-regular expenses. So the third part of my savings account is the next goal fund, and this is the fun part. This is where you want to consult your goals list and you want to start saving for things. Of course, if these are non-needed things, this is going to be after you've paid off your debt and after you have that emergency fund saved, of course. You don't really want to be saving for anything too crazy unless it's needed. But say your car is on its last leg and you know it's going to break down, it's totally a need. This is where you're going to want to start saving for those. This is how you save up and pay cash for these large ticket items, is you actually do it. Maybe you need to set up a separate savings account at the bank or a separate cash envelope or whatever works best for you. But this is where you really put the pen to the paper and make those goals come to life. So if you don't already have a goals list, make a goals list and write a money amount next to that goal. Say you want to pay cash for your next vehicle and it makes sense for your family to spend, say, $10,000 on a car, and you want to save and buy that in cash. So put that in your goals list. Figure out how long it's going to take you to save. If you want to have it by next year, divide it up how many paychecks you have between now and then, and start contributing to that next goal fund and make those goals really happen. This is how you do it. You actually save and pay cash for large ticket items by having a space in your savings account for them. And that's how we did it. So I would like to encourage you to do the same thing. Okay, one more time here, my flow chart. I hope this helped you guys. This is how we break it down. So like I said, feel free to take a screenshot of this. Maybe it will help you organize your bank accounts or your cash envelope systems a little bit better. Just to recap real quick, what we do is we get the direct deposit money straight into our bills account, leave just enough plus a $10 buffer to pay the bills. Then we transfer over our spending allowance for the pay period. Whatever is left over goes into savings, and then our savings breaks down into the emergency fund, the sinking fund, and the next goal fund. Hey, if you've never created your own budget and you're looking to get started today, then I want you to check out my customizable budgeting starter pack worksheets. These are the actual worksheets that my family used to get organized, track our spending, pay our bills on time, grow our savings, set some awesome goals, as well as pay off over $225,000 worth of debt in the past 3 years. So find the link and check them out for yourself. I think you're gonna love them. Thank you so much for watching my video today. I hope this video helped you get a little better idea about how I organize my bank accounts. Hopefully it inspired you how to organize your bank accounts or your cash envelope systems. If you like this video, hit the like button, leave me a comment with a little bit of feedback, and I would love it if you would share this video with your friends. Every share helps me so much and I so appreciate it. I would love for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can keep up with all of my new videos, and I will see you next time.